Log on, tune in, find out. Another good idea from Cambridge.
This morning is Cedric Bonifay, who will be talking again about Castanistic theory with unequal parameters.
Well, so yesterday, one of the main objects I have introduced yesterday is asymptotic algebra associated to a Cajdan-Lustig basis, and I just recall some notation from yesterday's lecture. So first of all, I have denoted by h, x, y, z the structure constants for the multiplication in the Cajdan-Lustig basis. The a function, the Lustig's a function, is defined as the maximum of the degree of these structure constants. And we have introduced the leading coefficient of these structure constants and also some other notation, and in particular a subset D of W, which consists, which should consist, if we believe in Lustig's conjecture, of involutions. And I recall, say that from now on W is finite or affine. So that, well, it's to avoid to say something that can be maybe wrong for arbitrary Coxeter groups. And I recall also what is the definition of the asymptotic algebra. As a Z module, this is just a free Z module with a basis indexed by the by the elements of the Weil group, and the multiplication is just given by this leading coefficient of the structure constants. And it turns out that as a consequence of Lustig's conjecture, well, I have been told that my slide was not very readable, but it's not important. Just remember that there are 15 conjectures, and if you accept them, then you can do many things. And according to this conjecture, this product is associative, and the neutral element, the unit element, is the sum for D in this set of distinguished involution of NDTD. Well, and what I should also add is that from now on, I assume that all the conjectures P1, P15 hold. So I am working under the supervision of Lustig. So all the construction I will, most of the construction I will make now rely on these conjectures. With this notation, we have a first decomposition of the asymptotic algebra according to the two-sided cells of JC, where J sub x is a sum for W in X Z TW. We denote by Bx the sum for D in D intersected with X of NDTD. And all these elements are idempotents, and they are orthogonal idempotents. And in particular, BC is a central idempotent. And JC is BCJ equal J BC. So this is the first decomposition of the asymptotic algebra into a direct product of algebras. Well, and as we have seen also yesterday, there is a link between two-sided cells and decomposition of this algebra. There is a link between left cells and projective modules for this asymptotic algebra. So in some sense, the representation theory of this asymptotic algebra is very related to the combinatoric of cells. And it's possible to relate the to relate the representation theory of this asymptotic algebra to the representation theory of the ecoalgebra through some morphism, which is given by Lustig. So remember that on our algebra we have two involutions, bar and star, and I want to introduce a third one, dagger, that goes from h to h, that sends the exponential of gamma to what? To itself. So it means that this involution will be linear, R linear, and it sends tw to -1 to the length of w, tw inverse. So this one is an R linear involutive automorphism of the algebra. Recall that this one is R semilinear automorphism. This one is R linear, but this is an anti-automorphism. This third one is R linear, and it's an involutive automorphism. And we define map phi going from H to the scalar extension of the asymptotic algebra to R as follows. We send Cx dagger. So Cx is the basis, so Cx dagger, the Cx dagger form also basis, to the following sum. So I need my notes. So that's a sum for Z in W, D in D, and we require that the A function of D is equal to the A function of Z. And the coefficient here is H x D Z n hat Z T Z. And this n hat Z is not the nz which is here. It's related to, it's defined as follows. This is n for some d0, where d0 is the unique element of D belonging to the right cell of Z. So according to Lustig conjectures, in every left cell there is only one element, one Duflo involution, because you can go from left cells to right cells by taking the inverse. There is also only one Duflo involution inside each right cell, and you define n hat Z like this. And one of the main results in this theory is that this phi, this is a morphism of algebra. So you see that we have related the two-sided cells or the left cells to the representation theory of the asymptotic algebra. Now through this morphism, we can relate them to the representation theory of H, which there was also a relation between the left cells and two-sided cells with the representation theory of H, but this one provides a finer one, because here the asymptotic algebra is not only defined over this Laurent polynomial ring, but it's really something which is defined over Z. Well, okay, so from now on and until the end of this lecture, I will focus on the case of finite Coxeter groups. So from now on, W is going to be finite. let's introduce the fraction field of, well, not only z of gamma, but I extend the scalar to R. So that, in particular, in this case, the algebra KH is split semi-simple. And by Tit's deformation theorem, this algebra is isomorphic to the group algebra of W. In particular, it means that we have a bijection between the irreducible characters of W and the irreducible character of H. And I will denote this bijection by chi is sent to chi gen, because this is chi gen is a generic version of the character chi, and it is defined uniquely defined by the following property. The value of the irreducible character chi at W is just a specialization of the value of the generic character at TW, where Og is the augmentation morphism. That sends the exponential of gamma to 1. This is the specialization under which the ecoalgebra becomes isomorphic over Q to the group algebra. Well, so this relate these two sets of irreducible characters. So I will, well, I will maybe make confusions between irreducible characters of W and irreducible characters of the ecoalgebra. So please forgive me, but this bijection says that I'm allowed to do this. Well, for the moment, let's forget about the Kazhdan-Lusztig theory, and let's see what can be done only using the particular features of the ecoalgebra. And one of these particular features, it has been said in Michel Bouet's talk, is that this ecoalgebra is a symmetric algebra with a very particular symmetrizing form. That sends a standard basis element to 1 if W is equal to 1 and to 0 as, in the other case. And this is a symmetrizing form. And even bit better, the standard basis is self-dual, or almost. 2 of Tx Ty is equal to delta x y minus 1. So this is 1 if x is equal to the inverse of y, and this is 0 in the other case. So this is a symmetrizing form. So in particular, it satisfies that tau of AB is equal to tau of BA. And we have also many other functions that satisfy this property. For instance, the irreducible characters, chi gen, they satisfy chi gen of AB is equal to chi gen of BA. And they form a basis of all such functions. So it means that you can express this symmetrizing form as a linear combination of these irreducible characters. So let's denote by tau k the extension of tau to k. This is the sum for chi, an irreducible character of W, of chi gen with some coefficient, but in fact this coefficient can always be taken as the inverse of an element of R, maybe of the extension to R. So this is a general fact, which is due to Meinhof-Geck. These elements are called the Schur elements. We can, since this Schur element lie inside this group algebra, and since the gamma is totally ordered, then they have a valuation, and we can introduce this valuation in the following way. We write S chi to be equal to F chi times the exponential of minus A chi plus staff lying in involving higher powers of the higher powers. Well, so this element is not, well, if you work with a general Coxeter group, it is not an element of Z, but it is an algebraic integer over Z. If you're working with a Weil group, this guy is really an element of Z. What are the S chi? Yes, S chi. Well, it can be expressed. Well, it's almost if lambda is a partition of n. S chi is up to something. The product for well, for a box in the Young diagram of lambda of q of the hook length of the box minus 1 over q minus 1. That's something like this. Meinhof, can you do you agree with this formula for in the case of the symmetric group? That the S lambda is given by the product of q to the hook length minus 1 over q minus 1 up to maybe the Schur element of 1, something like this. Okay? Well, this is, here you have, yes, S1. S1, which is the Poincaré polynomial, or the inverse of S1.
Then you have to divide those products.
I divide, okay, that's this, okay. Okay, so you have a really very explicit formula, again, related to the usual combinatoric of the Young diagrams, okay? Well. So in the Kazhdan-Lusztig theory, we have defined an A function associated to elements of Z, of W. Here, just using the symmetrizing form, we have associated an A function to each irreducible characters. And the Kazhdan-Lusztig theory can relate these two invariants, but it goes through first some algebraic construction, namely the J induction. So the first remark that can be done is that if I is a subset of S, so that we can talk about the standard parabolic subgroup generated by I, and if psi is an irreducible character of Wi, well, if you write that the induce from Wi to W of psi equals the sum for chi an irreducible character of W, there is a multiplicity m chi, then in fact, the same property hold inside the ecoalgebra. So induce from Hi, where I denote by Hi the ecoalgebra associated to the parabolic subgroup, to H of the generic version of psi is the sum for chi, an irreducible character of W, of M chi kj. This is very easy, just by, you can go back by specialization. But more interesting is that if this multiplicity is non-zero, namely if chi occurs in the reduced of these particular irreducible characters, then you can relate the A function, the A value, as follows: A chi is greater than or equal to A psi. So that's it's quite easy. So the J induction is a truncated version of the induction. Namely, in this induction, the J induction only keeps the irreducible characters that have the same A values. Formally, J, I, S, so it goes from Wi to Ws, which is W of psi, is the sum for chi, an irreducible character of W, of M chi, but I restrict this sum to those which have the same value, to the A, such that A chi is equal to A psi. And because of this property, this J induction is transitive. And this allows to define a family of characters of W. Here, this is for the moment. This is purely algebraic. There is no Kasdan-Lustick theory for defining the Schur element. There is no Kasdan-Lustick theory for defining this A chi. So this does not rely on P1, P15. Okay, it's only when I will relate this to Kasdan-Lustick theories and we will need the P1, P15 conjectures.
Is it clear that this induction is non-zero, the J induction?
Is it clear? It's not, but it is. But it's true, yes. It's true, yes. It's true.
Well, better than otherwise.
So, what?
Clear but not true.
Does it follow from the classification?
No, it's not obvious, but it's not very.
Okay. Well, so using this J induction, we will define a particular set of characters of W, namely the constructible characters. And the definition of the constructible characters is inductive. Inductive on the set, on the standard parabolic subgroup. So we start with a constructible character of WMT, which is 1. Well, and we take only the trivial character. And now we assume that Wi is constructed, that the constructible characters of Wi are constructed, for I strictly containing S, and we define the constructible characters of W to be the J induced. So of course we can extend J to the non-irreducible characters. So they are the J induced of psi, or J induced of psi tensor with a sign, where I is a proper subset of S, and psi is the constructible characters of Wi. So through this procedure, you can construct a subset of the set of characters. They might be non-irreducible. That's perfectly possible. And using this set of constructible characters, we can define what the so-called Lustig families. And this is done as follows. Let GW be the graph defined as follows. The vertices this is a set of irreducible characters of W, and the edges, you put an edge between two irreducible characters if they occur in the same constructible characters. And what are the Lustig families? These are only the connected components of this graph. Well, so yeah, I should make one comment. So it's this construction is purely algebraic. Also the Kazhdan-Lustig basis is purely algebraic, but this construction does not rely on the Kazhdan-Lustig theory, but it relies heavily on the choice of the parameters, because this SK depends on the parameters, and also it depends heavily on the choice of the order you have taken on gamma. Because even if you work with the same gamma, the valuation of SK depends on the order you choose. Okay, that's clear. And since the A function depends on the parameter and on the order you have chosen, the J induction here depends on these two data, and in particular the Lustig families also depend on the parameters and on the order. So, what is the link between these families and the Kazhdan-Lustig theory? What should be the link? So the link is given by the following theorem, which is due to many people. Lustig and Rucki have mainly worked in the equal parameter case, and Meinhof has generalized this to the unequal parameter case. So we assume that P1, P15 hold. And what can be said? Many things. First of all, the Lustigs morphism which is here, which relates the asymptotic algebra and the ecoalgebra, becomes an isomorphism if you extend the scalars to K. In fact, Lustig morphism here is always injective. So if you work with finite things, finite dimensional things, then it becomes an isomorphism. In fact, there is a much stronger version of this. It involves not the extension to the field K, but to the extension to the following ring. Let's call it R. This is a ring R, where you invert all the elements which are of the following form: 1 plus something involving only monomials with positive powers. This has been called by Michel Bouet the Rouquier ring. It has been introduced by Raphaël Rouquier. And in fact, the extension of the Lustig morphism to R is also an isomorphism. The second fact is that, well, we have defined a set of characters of the Weyl group, but if you take a left cell, then you associate to a left cell a left KH module, and you can consider the character of this left H module. And it turns out that the constructible characters are the characters of the left cell modules. So this really relates this algebraic construction, the J induction, and the Kazhdan-Lustig theory. Third relation is that the Lustig families which are defined as a connected component of this graph. This is defined using only these constructible characters. They are equal to the two-sided cells. Let me explain. Well, the two-sided cells are two-sided ideals, and since we are in the semi-simple case, KH is also isomorphic to the product for C, a two-sided cell, to something that I could call KHC, which is not well defined, but since you have a filtration of H by two-sided ideal, and since we are in the semi-simple case, you can split this filtration and write this product. And two irreducible characters are said to be in the same two-sided cell if they appear in the same block in this decomposition. Okay. Well, so you can obtain a partition of irreducible characters W according to the two-sided cells, and this partition is equal to the partition of defined by the Lustig families. Well, so using using this isomorphism, what is nice inside this asymptotic algebra is that you have many idempotents which are associated to the Duflo involution, namely the NDTD, that you can lift, because this is an isomorphism, to idempotents that are called ED. This is for D and D. And in fact, as idempotents of this algebra over this ring, these idempotents are primitive. And finally what? If C is a two-sided cell, then E and D index C, which is defined as a sum for D in D intersected with C of the ED, is a central idempotent, is a primitive central idempotent. Well, of this algebra RH. Well, so if you assume that all the Lustick's conjectures hold, then the decomposition which is here is only the block decomposition of this algebra according to the two-sided cells. The partition into two-sided cells is the decomposition of this algebra RH into blocks. This is not really, it does not work as in the finite group case. In the finite group case, the principal block, the block containing the trivial character, is always the biggest in some sense, or the hardest. In this case, the block containing the trivial character contains only the trivial character. Okay? So that's really a completely different thing. Well. So you see that this theorem really fits perfectly with Lustick's original construction of the J induction. Lustick's construction was made mainly for studying the representations of finite group of Lie type, and I would like to finish my lecture with a relation between this kind of constructions and representations of finite groups of Lie type.
Is there something like special representations that these two-sided cells have preferred elements in the irreducible representation?
No. In the equal parameter case, if you consider all the constructible characters, let's say, lying in one cell, they have a common irreducible component. This is false in the unequal parameter case. This is false. I think that might not have counterexample in F4, but maybe this occurred before. Yes?
What does that mean in terms of specialization? What can't one specialize to another?
So it means that you can't specialize, for instance, to roots of unity. You are not allowed. Okay. So it means that what only remains is what is called the bad primes. If you reduce modulo the bad primes, then you obtain a non-trivial decomposition. In some sense, this would say that the partition, these blocks, the blocks here is blocks according to the bad primes. But you have to consider all the bad primes together. Does it make sense? Okay. Well, so let me conclude with It's not an application, but it's a link between this theory to the representation theory of finite reductive groups. So let G be a connected reductive algebraic group over FQ bar, an algebraic closure of FQ. Let F be a Frobenius endomorphism over FQ. Let's consider the group of rational points, GF. This is a finite group, a finite reductive group. And we denote by W, curly W, the Weil group of G. I would say the Weil group of G, it can be defined canonically. For instance, you can think of it as orbits of G and the product of the flag variety with itself, for instance. Well, and to each element of this Weil group of G, we can associate the Deligne-Lustig variety associated to W, which is a set of Borel subgroups in the flag variety. Such that B and its image by the Frobenius are in relative position W. It means that it belongs to the orbit associated to W. If we define W to be this set of orbits, well, and because here you have the Frobenius endomorphism, you see that G does not act on W and XW, but GF acts. So GF acts by multiplication on the left. Since it acts on the left, it acts also on every cohomology theory you can build on X of W. So you can build the L-adic cohomology, for instance. And we denote by R of W, where the sum for I greater than 0 of -1 to the I times the class of the ith group of cohomology group with compact support of this variety XW with coefficient in QL bar. And this sits inside the Grothendieck group of GF. So this is a set of particular virtual characters of GF, and we denote by unip of GF equals a set of irreducible characters of GF occurring in some of these virtual characters. So this is a particular set of irreducible characters of GF, in some sense according to Lustig's theory, Deligne-Lustig theory and Lustig's Jordan decomposition. This is the most important one. And
What's the offering XN?
what is what?
The sum runs from I
I greater than 0, but since this cohomology group vanishes after when I is greater than twice the dimension of the variety. So this is really a finite sum. I is to 0 to, if you want, twice the dimension of twice the length of W. The length of W is the dimension of this variety. Well, so this is a very important set of irreducible characters in the Deligne-Lustig theory. And this very important set can be partitioned into families. So we can call them unipotent Lustig families. They are defined as follows. So if chi is an irreducible character of my curly W, we define R chi to be the following linear combination. And this sits inside because irreducible characters have value, well, let's say stable under the Frobenius endomorphism. Then we can extend this, we can take an extension to the semi-direct product. Chi extends to chi tilde in the irreducible characters of W, semi-direct product with F. So I take this value here of W, and this lies inside QL bar here of W. In other words, it lies inside the set of central functions of GF, not of W. So once we have defined this character with these central functions, which are called the almost characters, they are called almost characters because according to some Mackey formula, if you compute the scalar product of two of these guys, this is delta of chi prime. So they form an also normal family of class functions, but unfortunately in general, except in GLN, these class functions are not irreducible characters. And we can, since there is an inversion formula, we can define again a graph on the set of unipotent characters using this R chi, these almost characters. So let GF be the graph defined by the vertices is a set of unipotent characters of GF, and the edges we relate rho to rho prime if rho and rho prime occur in some almost characters. Well, so you relate all the, you construct a graph among the unipotent characters of GF, and we define the Lustig unipotent families, or the unipotent Lustig families. These are the connected components of the graph GGF. So we have defined a partition of these unipotent characters according to these particular class functions, and there is another way to construct irreducible characters of a finite reductive group. This is the Harish-Chandra induction. And I will be quite brief for explaining this, but if P equal L, U is an F-stable parabolic subgroup an F-stable parabolic subgroup of G. L is an F-stable Levy subgroup, and U is a unipotent radical. And if lambda is a unipotent character of LF with lambda cuspidal, I don't define it, but it means that it does not occur in some Harish-Chandra induction, in a Harish-Chandra induction coming from a subgroup of L, then you can induce the endomorphism algebra as a GF module of the induced from PF to GF of lambda tilde. So lambda is an irreducible character of LF. You can extend it as an irreducible character of PF by making UF act trivially. Then you induce this endomorphism algebra is the Eke algebra associated to some finite Weyl group, W, not curly W, with a distinguished set of generators and some parameter function. And how they are defined, in fact, you can embed W in curly W quite canonically. And phi of S is just the restriction of the length function on curly W to W. Is it this? Meinhof, you seem to have adopted. Oh, that's it? Okay, thanks. Well. So in fact, this function can take really different values on the different conjugacy classes of characters. Well, this is an element of Z. So this is an algebra over Z of Z, which is Z of V inverse, the Laurent polynomial ring in one variable. But to get this algebra, this is not a generic algebra, you must specialize V to the cardinality Q of the finite field. Well, so once you have this, you have inside, you can consider all the irreducible components of this induction. Irreducible components of this induced character. So we are in the semi-simple case. So they are in bijection with the irreducible character of this particular Eke algebra, or in particular W. Okay. So there is a bijection here, but this is contained in the set of unipotent character of GF. Well, so now we have partition of the unipotent character of GF in terms of unipotent Lustig families. So this is a partition which is quite transversal to the partition into Harishchandra series, but you can consider the intersection of such a unipotent Lustig family with this Harishchandra series. And there is a theorem by Lustig. So if F inside the set of unipotent characters of GF is a unipotent Lustig family, then the intersection of F with this Harishchandra series so this is a subset of this guy, but through this bijection, this can be seen as a subset of the irreducible character of W. So this viewed inside the irreducible character of W. So this particular family of characters of W is in fact a Lustig family associated to the parameter function phi, which is here. Okay, I recall that the Lustig families really depend on the choice of the parameters, and here you have this theorem by Lustig. So I want to conclude on this because, well, the proof of this theorem is a case-by-case analysis. It's quite a long case-by-case analysis. It's not only just have to see it and look at. That's really a tough work. And in some sense, since the Lustig families can be defined more interestingly using this Kazhdan-Lustig theory, maybe the Kazhdan-Lustig theory can have some application to understand this theorem in a uniform way, and maybe it could lead to a proof of such a thing without using the classification of finite reductive groups. This is maybe too optimistic, but since I come from the representation theory of finite reductive groups, that was one of my main motivations for studying the Kazhdan-Lustig theory with unequal parameters. This theorem, which is for the moment just proved by a case-by-case analysis, deserves to get a uniform proof. Well, I want to conclude on this. Thank you.
The last theorem, is it has any relation with the top rule about the Harishchandra induction?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes. Yes, in fact, you can do almost the same thing with the Harishchandra series, and you get also the same kind of theorem, but it has been proved by Gunther Mahle and Raphael Rouquier in this case, and again by a case-by-case analysis. But you have to use, because this involves complex reflection groups and not Weyl groups, you need another definition for the Lustig families, and this is the notion of Rouquier blocks, which replaces this notion of Lustig families.
Anyone else? Alright, we meet back again at 11:30, so let's just, like I said,